of the month, but I also feel there is another message coming in, or that there is more to share. So this one is, of course, going to take us all the way to the end of the month, and into the beginning of I guess, of February. So this is going to take us all the way into the oh my God, into the 31st. And I just realized, I just looked down and I realized that it was actually Thursday. Like, where has this week gone? I don't know where the week has gone, but it's definitely been a long week, and it's been a lot of emotions, and there is a lot of up and down, and there's a lot of trickery and a lot of trickster energy that is also out there. And it's so easy to be able to trick ourselves into believing something to be real, and to be able to create a narrative and a story. And so there's a lot of clickbait energy out, a lot of clickbait in the collective consciousness, in the material world happening right now as well. And it's so easy to be triggered into responding, and to being reactive to the energy. A big part of the energy, and what a big part of really stepping into allowing us to be guided by our spirit and by our inner authority, and being able to really truly utilize and use our own power, is to not to be manipulated by that energy, to not to be so triggered into responding so quickly to the narratives or to the energy that is appearing, because it's so easy to create a story and then have a beginning, middle, and end, but yet we're only at the beginning, and you don't have a middle, and you don't have an end, and you don't know the outcome, and you don't know how things are working out. But yet that's how we that's how we run the world. That's how the world is that the mind's ability to be able to create a story all the way from beginning to end, exist and live in it, but yet it hasn't happened. That is the craziness of what we're capable of doing as human beings, that we don't see the whole thing. And so this week's energy is about being able to become an observer of even our own emotions, and how we're emotionally responding, how we're showing up, what we're bringing to the table, and how that is revealing itself. And so from spirit, and allowing spirit of truth and spirit of the divine energy, and so it brings in, there's always another truth. And getting to know that deeper truth means that we don't put all of our eggs in one basket into such a stronghold on a belief, even in our own stories. So one of the things that I write in, I believe it's in the More Than Existing book, is I write about a truth is only, or no, I think it's in Beyond Reflection. So a truth is only a truth until it becomes a lie, right? And so we hold on to these narratives and stories. And so in our lives, you could have a story like, let's just say, for example, that you've known your whole life that this is your family, this is your parents, this is who's raised you, this is who's loved you, and you know that to be true. And so that is your truth. You even get told you look like your parents, you're like your parents. And then all of a sudden, you may be someone who discovers that, say, your father's not your father, or that you were adopted, or something like that. And then the whole narrative of the truth now becomes a lie. And this is like a big one to give, but it is to put in perspective for us how we get such a stronghold to taking an image of something we see, or holding on to a story as such a truth, that there's no room for any other truth to come in. Now, throughout our lives, those are things that we just take for granted. And so when we take the words of another, or the image, or what we think we're seeing, for granted, and that's for granted, this is what's happening, that's what's happening, this is what's going on. It's like we are providing to ourselves what we are searching for to create our comforts, or to continue to hold on to a story, an emotion, a way to react, to respond, to show up, to be a rebel, to be fighting for a cause. But there's more to the stories. And so this energy, and this urge, this urgent kind of feeling that I was feeling, could have left me creating a story around, oh, there's something wrong, and I have to respond to this. And so, or that, oh my God, like, I have to go get this done right now. So there's things that are on my list that are like, oh, well, I need to do this right now because I feel the energy and I feel the panic. And the moment I feel the energy is that it starts to attach to emotional responses and how I respond to, guilting yourself into doing something, or shaming yourself, or guilting or shaming even somebody else. And so, or creating a narrative of, oh my God, I just did something wrong. Oh my God, I just said something wrong. So many ways. And that is how we take things so personally, and we get personally invested in it and personally responding to it. And so from spirit, and the messages from spirit is to really look at our truth, and to really look at the truths that are holding us, and the truths that we continue to hold on to, and these desired senses of outcomes. And often where we are, because this is where we need to be at this moment, or this is how things are unfolding. And one thing is a truth until new truth comes in. And then if we deny ourselves those truths, then we are lying to ourselves. But we also can be investigators. And so there is to be curious, to be in the investigation of knowing deeper truth, and to become an observer, to look, to get above and look in. And so we're not so reactive, and not responding so much to the influences of the outside world, because there's all of these outside things that are influencing the behavioral patterns, and those behavioral patterns create the um, create those urgencies, or it creates the trends, right? And so sometimes I'm watching, say, a video, and it's like, oh my God, and then you look at it and it's like, you get the clickbait or whatever, and then you see another video just like it, and then you see another video just like it, and you see another video just like it. And do we ever not stop and ask ourselves, well, is this a trend to gain to gain attention, to get likes, to get follows? Does just because it is continuing doesn't mean that it's all truth, and that there's more truth to be learned or to be discovered. But you're not going to get it if you only surround yourself with like-mindedness. If you only seek out the comforts to keep your story going, then that's the only place that you will be able to tell yourself, I'm right, this is how it is. But it doesn't mean that it's right. Two wrongs don't make things right. Right? There is more stories, there is more truth. And so being able to not allow ourselves to be so reactive and responding so much to the outside energy right now is guiding us to come back to spirit, to come back home to ourselves. I just thought I seen a fly. See, this is how your eyes trick you. I thought I just seen a fly, and then I realized it's a flash of my watch that's flashing back and forth in the black part of my computer screen. But for a second, I thought it was a fly, and I'm like, oh, there's a fly in here, but we're in the middle of winter. And it wasn't a fly. That's not what it was. It was a flash. It was a flash of light. But if I didn't look a little deeper and keep looking again and again, I would have thought there was a fly. And I could have said, oh, there's a fly. And then the truth would have been there was a fly here, but there was no fly here. There was a flash. And the flash was what I was seeing. And that is called spiritual maturity. That's spiritual growth. And we're being called this week to start to move into really coming back home, come back to spirit, come back here, and allow space for the communication. And in the illusions, we have these halls. And so ignorance is one of the halls, the hall of ignorance. And this is, oh, Helena, can't remember, um, in the moment, but in her book from way, way back, is she speaks about the halls, and one of those halls is the veils of it's the hall of ignorance. There's the hall of learning, and the hall of and there is the hall um of wisdom. And so in that place of ignorance, and in that place of unknown, is that we can easily in one flash create those narratives. This is our human, and our human has ego. Whereas if we get back to spirit, spirit doesn't react and respond quite as quickly. It takes the time to process. And we gives the opportunity for silence and a space to kind of to take the breath and to move away from the mind's ability and step back further. And I always call it the back of the heart, or to the high heart, or to step back, to take a step back and rediscover, revisit, relook at things and ask ourselves, how much information and knowledge and opinions have we been given? That we are so filled with so many opinions, and we have so many of our own opinions, and it becomes knowledge, and it becomes the what is educating us. And the what we're here to move into that hall of learning is the hall of learning means that you'll probably learn more by sitting by a tree in the middle of a forest than you're going to learn sitting in the midst of say social media, and or in the midst of, you know, a pile of people or a room full of people that are filled with opinions. And you're going to hear a lot of information, but it doesn't mean you're actually gaining a lot. It means there's a lot of information that is floating around. You sit with a tree, you're going to learn something. You sit with a tree and you stay with that tree and stay with yourself long enough, you're going to learn something. You're really going to learn something, because it's creating space for wisdom to come in. It's creating space for there to be more information. And as I'm receiving this from that place of God, is I always sit and just say, you know, what would you like for me to talk about today? And I just quickly hear, we don't know, just start. And that conversation of just starting and just showing up, it leaves space of this unknown and not knowing. So it's like sitting with the tree in the silence, having nada, having nada, and not having nothing, which is having nada, and having this silence coming from spirit in the beginning, and not knowing, not having being given any preconceived, you know, conversation or perception of what I'm about to receive or how I'm about to relay that. It doesn't give it time to cross through the mind, the ego, to decide whether or not that it should be spoken, or if there is to be doubt. And that's why even the videos never really get edited, because that gives you an opportunity for doubt and perfection and the human's ego and a motive to come in to create the video. And this is the flow. And when you can get to this place and allow this place, is that we move beyond our human, and we move into that deeper connection. We become the vessel for our own spirit to give us a new way to see. That if we could see through the eyes, if you could allow your eyes to if you can allow your eyes to adapt and adjust to being able to see through the lenses of spirit, or through the lenses of the divine, then you will see things differently. But when our pixels and our imagery goes back to our memories, is that we have a whole history of memories that's creating this image. But when we have nada, we have space. And then it's through these eyes. And so yesterday, as I was getting a massage, I was laying there, and all of a sudden I could sense and see, like, my me looking out through my own eyes. And so there was a set of eyes, and I was those set of eyes, and I was looking out through the eyes, and I wasn't thinking about anything, I wasn't there. But just suddenly, as I'm getting this massage and I'm face down, I'm like, whoa, I have two sets of eyes happening, and I'm looking out through two sets of eyes. I'm like, is this my truth? Is this my true self? And instead of creating, oh, this must be my true self, I let it go. And I just kept looking, and I just kept looking. I don't have an answer. There is no answer. There is no story. There's no story to create. I was in an experience, the eyes were there, and I know they will provide something of wisdom towards this whenever they decide to give it. And instantly I'm receiving this same imagery. And so it might sound crazy. It sounds absolutely crazy. Of course it should sound crazy. But is it crazy? Or is it because we travel one way and we live in one way of thinking and one way of living, and this cannot be possible? And that is what it means to go beyond. To be able to go beyond our own limitations is to go beyond our own opinions, our own thoughts, our own mind's ability to create a scenario or an experience or what we think is happening in the world or what we think is happening in someone's life or what we think someone else is thinking, and to move beyond and just say, I don't know what someone else is thinking. I don't know what somebody else is planning. I don't know what's in their head. Could I get in there? Yeah, I could probably get in there. Do I want to? No. So so the more we place a story up on into the, plant into our own minds, a story with a face, is we have a character and a story to continue that story. And so the ability to see through the eyes and to see greater is the ability to see beyond, but to also be able to see from the layers, to see that we have these layers and we have these veils, and we have these veils of illusions. We have our chambers, we have our inner castle. There is so much about us to be self discovered that once you start to break free of all of the opinions that you even have of yourself, and who this self is and what this self is and what this self stands for and where this self belongs, and what this self should be experiencing, is that you break free of this paradigm of a creation of this self and this self identified self and the stories that have such righteousness to be in right and to be in all truth. And through this divine expression, through this energy, is that it's opening us up to really look at, what is my motive? What is these motives that I have? What is motivating this? But what is my motive? What do I want? What is my intention? What am I hoping to achieve from this? What am I hoping to get from this? What is the I doing here? And the small I. Why is the small I here? And where's the big I? And where's the big I am and the power of I am? I am that I am. I am that I am. And that Moses code, that Jesus code, that sense of the power of the divine code, the divine expression, and getting to that divine authority within ourselves to recognize what it is that we truly are, and that we are the spiritual beings that are here for this human experience, and that this spiritual being is filled with the ultimate level of love, compassion, caring, kindness, and it cares enough about us, and the it is actually I, and that we are the I. We are a part of that, and that you are a part of that, and that there is so much energy here right now that is trying to help us to break free, to bring us into alignment, into this sense of nothing and everything all at the one time, which brings us back into this journey of oneness and this journey of oneness with ourselves. And so, if you could see this spirit and then you start to give it an identity, is you start to create the identity. When you stop trying to live as something or trying to live in the fulfillment of fulfilling something or chasing something, it's that you leave space for there to be something that becomes revealed to us. And so there is this revealing energy that is revealing through our innate characters and our innate characteristics that are traits of us, that doesn't need another identity. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to become some great warrior of any great cause. It's giving space to feel alive and to feel alive within ourselves. And so this week we have a lot of energy that is speaking of these these secrets or these revelations or things being revealed. And I chuckle because the thing that was being revealed to me and the message that I'm getting now at this very moment is they were revealing myself. They were revealing to me. And and I'm like, oh, she was looking out. And I'm like, but I don't know her. Do I know her? Maybe I do know her. Maybe I know more about her than I'd like to know, than I think I know. And so we can think into creation anything. And it's so easy to cause mass fear, mass divide, mass everything. Because how easy is it? Because it's so easy that we have actually separated from ourselves, and we see ourselves the separate from the divine. We see ourselves separate from the light. We see ourselves separate from all aspects and versions of ourselves. And so we have a lot of very human experiences happening right now. And you came for the human experience. But if there's space and there's quiet and it's beyond the opinions, you start to get to feel a greater truth and feeling the sense of being guided by spirit and coming home to spirit and to feel the love of spirit. And because spirit loves us, it sometimes stops us in our tracks and just and we call it, oh, I just forgot what I was supposed to be doing. Oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do today. Oh, I'm lazy, or oh, I'm forgetful. Maybe no, maybe you weren't. Maybe you weren't. Maybe spirit stepped in. Maybe your own expression of your higher self stepped in and just said, we're just going to block that right now because they don't need to go that way. They don't need to get involved in that. They don't need to get lost over here. But it's so easy to get lost. It's so easy to get lost in this world. But some of the beauties of getting lost is the opportunity to find something. It's the opportunity to find self. And this journey is about being able to find self. And so this, as we finish out January, it is about this sense of spiritual contentment. And find our way to spiritual enlightenment is to be content with our imperfect human, but recognizing that we are so much more, and there's so much more to be discovered within ourselves, and how we show up, how we react, how we respond, the mass chaos that we have the potential to create, or the mass love that we have the opportunity to spread and share. And there is a big difference. And so the card that I pulled out from the Everyday Goddesses was Contentment, Contessa. And she appears to be at the top of the mountain, but if we look behind, there is more peaks, there is higher levels, there's more to reach, there's more places to go. If she looks back, she could see where she'd been, she could see her mistakes, she could see what she's done wrong, she could see all of those things. But where she really is in her own presence. And where she really is with herself. And where she really is in the place of love. And so she's exactly where she needs to be. And to be at this point means that she doesn't have to reveal if she's made it all the way anywhere, or that she's achieved some greatness, is that her heart has opened, and that her heart has opened up to herself. And when we start to nurture the heart of the matter and start to nurture that part of self, we start to be able to move into a level of contentment, a level of being, satisfied with just knowing that we don't know it all, that we may not achieve it all, but that we have already done a lot. We've already been a lot of places. And that we also are not a know it all. And we have a world full of know it all energy that's screaming and speaking a lot of stories and a lot of convictions to a lot of truth. But it doesn't mean it's all true. It means it's stories with motives, and it is intentions, and it has desires, and it has emotions, and it is filled. It is a smorgasbord, a soup that is being stirred and the inside of a pot, and the pot is being stirred. But she's not in the pot. She's out the pot. She's not willing to put herself into that situation. She's choosing to walk. She's choosing to go to the place of where great wisdom exists. She's going to the place of where we don't need an opinion. We don't need another emotion at it. We need to allow love to flow through. And so this contentment is about getting back to love. And getting back to love guides us back to spirit. And when we get back to spirit, we remember what our mission was and why we originally came here. We came here to grow and cultivate love. And how do we get back to there? How do we get back to there? How do we get to that place? It begins with one at a time, one person at a time, one step at a time, and to keep rising up. And we are here to level up. We're here to rise up. Now, all of the energy is not rising. There's a lot of energy that is not rising. We've just coming through the alignment of the planets that's been happening, which can be, spectacular to observe and to see. But we're so busy lost in looking at all of the other things that we're not out looking at the sky. We're not out looking at the stars, the moon. We're stuck inside looking into imitation, looking into screens of imitation that's filled with opinions and views, but not looking in the right places, and not finding that self, and not recognizing that there's another you looking out from inside of this suit, that there's another eyes in there looking out from inside of this suit, that lives with you, that is a part of you. And we don't think that's an alien, right? They just made me chuckle at that. So I just felt something free from me in that very moment. There is so much love, there's so much humor, there's so much joy, and there is a lot of humor to be rediscovered, and there's a lot of joy. And so we're coming through a great moment in time of transformation, also bringing us the into the mother energy, and into what we are nurturing, and into what we are supporting, and what we continue to be a part of. And so she recognizes that she has the whole world. She recognizes she has everything in her hand, but she has to step up and out of those emotions. So it's about stepping up. In front of her, there is the stone. Behind her is that which is now gone. Ahead of her is that which we cannot see. But there is a forward. There is a place to be. There is more to see. And there is always so much more to see to a story. So these are some of the energies that we're working with. Now, on a bigger scale, they do bring me into the realization of what we have with this 9 year, but also with where we are as we're beginning to come closer to the moving into the Chinese astrology of the year of the snake. And as we move into the year of the snakes, what do snakes do? They shed their skin, right? It is the shedding of layers. It is the shedding of the old. But it is also it is also that of a part of the medical side, right? And so there is great healing, great transformation, and opportunities that are coming. And I've said from the beginning, and as much as there was a lot of bandwagons of jumping on the bandwagon that this is going to be our year, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I said, don't be so quick to jump in to locking yourself into commitments and into guarantees when we're not there. We have to get through January. And and having this sense of you might have a bigger opportunity, another opportunity, setting yourselves up for disappointment and failure, and buying into every infomercial that is triggering the insecurities or the sense of lack of, right? I have a lack of, I'm not good enough. And so I'm not good enough. So I have to buy this. I'm not good enough because I need to get that. And it's like being very aware of what it is. And as we move into February, is moving into that energy of allowing that space for there to be more to it. There's more to the story, and there's more to come. And so it is going to be opening up. There's some new doors opening up. There's some opportunities that are opening up. And there is some energy that's going to be coming in that can pull you through the long haul, to get you through some of the difficult new beginnings, or the difficult endings of breaking free from those challenging situations, or the challenging energy, the addictive patterns and that we have, and moving us through that obsessions that have become trends, and that become a part of chasing something. And if we were to really look at how easily it is to become a puppet on a string to society, to chasing something, it's not original, and it's not originality. It is imitation. And when we're constantly chasing imitation, because we're imitating, right? When art imitates reality. So when we're imitating, it becomes more and more of imitation. Authenticity, originality, truest of truth is found by the tree. It is found when there's nothing else around. And this year we're being inspired and encouraged to spend more time with nature. Spend more time out of the storm and in the calm. Get to the calm, get to the quiet, get back into the meditations, get back into the journaling, get back into traveling inward and building that relationship and that connection to spirit, to your own spirit, and to that of what is beyond. And that when I hear people say, you know, things like, oh, channeling and mediumship, like that's evil. That's evil. I heard that that's evil. I, learned that that's not good. And psychic work. And I'm like, really? So let me question this truth. When we are listening to God, where's that coming from? Because if God is only in your head and you're the one who's creating the narrative and the laws that abide because your head is creating them, then it's not coming from God, it's not coming from spirit, it's coming from man. And the love of power versus the power of love is two very different narratives. And so the power of love moves us. The power of love brings us into spiritual confidence, spiritual truth, spiritual contentment, and a greater sense of knowing that you cannot be feared into or swayed from or away from that which you know to be a greater truth. And so, even though our fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses are always trying to get us to run or avoid or to step away because it's easier to get away, it's easier to make an enemy, it's easier to create the stories and create the players and the characters in the stories than it is to be able to embody truth, to embody love. And when spirit speaks, spirit comes with a truth that does not create another story, but it does turn the mirror around and requires us to look at the one main player in all the stories of our lives. And that is the version of us and our persona and our identity that we create and the self that we keep giving out as a truth. And so there's so much more to learn and discover. And I myself had a moment even in this month, which was yesterday, when, I realized that I went against everything that I know of launching something in the midst of when I know I'm not to do it. I didn't have the call to do it. I didn't have the wisdom. I wasn't given the date, the time, but I knew that it'd been a while since I taught a level 1 of more than existing. So I had put out the more than existing program, the level 1, beginning again in January. It was January the 22nd. And I am as human as everyone else. So I have ego, and that so that humanness was, we have our academy, we need to get going again. And none of this, the academy, the insurances, like nothing that we have, nothing that creates this world is free. It comes at great cost. And so a little bit of a fear story stepped in of feeling like I needed to get going into the new year, because on the 21st, it was 1 year since I had my back surgery. And I was feeling, well, this would be a way to celebrate. The 22nd would be kind of when I came home from the hospital a year ago. And as I sat on the couch last night and I looked down at my comfy house pants that my husband makes fun of, I said to him, I said, these are the pants I wore home from the hospital last year. And I'm doing the same thing tonight as I was doing then. I'm just laying here, but there's one big difference. I'm not in pain, but I'm in sadness. And I'm in sadness because I had to change the date of the beginning of the class, because I had one beautiful soul who was ready to start, but many who weren't. And I could have looked at it and I could tell myself a lot of stories about how that's me, that's a failure story, that I have failed. I have a lot of evidence and proof of how I could be not succeeding right now, how life could be really failing, how all the work that I've done has been not worth it, how it could be garbage, how it's not. I could have a lot of those stories, and it would be so easy to have those stories. But what I recognize is how far I have come home and how far into my truths that I have moved, to recognize that only when I am moved by spirit, and only when I'm moved by spirit is it always the right thing. But it's not about selling it, it's not about marketing it, it's not about where it goes. It's about simply doing what is asked and just sitting by the tree and waiting for the wisdom, waiting for the know-how, waiting for everything to align. And I've only ever been asked to keep creating and doing, and not being given any vision of who I should be or what my life should look like or what level of success I should have by now at 50 something years old, but to see the success I have had, to see and not to see it by reflecting into the success of others. And one of those greatest successes is the fact that I have a healthy, not if not healthy, but I have a lot of my movement back. I have the ability to live without the same level of pain I had a year ago. So in moving the class and moving the course and sitting through all of that last night and sitting through that energy of recognizing that this is truth, and this is a truth, and that it just didn't happen. I don't know why, just didn't happen. And so it will happen again. I don't know when, but it'll happen again, and in divine time, and what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to look. And if it doesn't, I guess if it doesn't happen, it's done its course. It's not meant to be. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know, but I have no story to create. I have a sense of spiritual contentment, that learning to trust and getting the little lessons that you learn. I have that sense of standing up and through the emotions, and also the seeing the evidence of where we are within the world and what is happening within our world. And so there's a lot of things that are happening in our world and happening around us right now that just tells us that we're on the move. We're on the move, and we're probably not always ready to stop in and settle in somewhere right now. And that's why sometimes when you're feeling like, why am I not able to get focused? Why am I not able to get connected? Is because we are on the move. And when we settle back in, when these breakthroughs happen, when new paths are broken, when we settle back in, and so when we settle back in is when everything will begin again. And so we have serenity, and serenity is she is she is that of, the calm in the storm, the eye of the storm, staying in the center of the storm, and not being shaken by the storm, and not to take the storm personally. But she's also a very big card of illusion, and how many illusions elude us in this lifetime, and how we can see things as what we think is real and what we think things are, but then we will deny the magic, and we'll deny things because we can't fully see it, because you haven't had the breakthrough to break through living in the narratives of opinions that has created our world and created the life that we live. But if we allow ourselves to have the childlike mind, to be able to see through the eyes of the child, the view of the child through the mystic and the magic, before we got told we weren't magical, we weren't spirit, we weren't this, we weren't that, we weren't good, we're not going to be good unless, we will not be enough unless, and we're not going to be able to do this unless, we'll not be able to achieve that unless, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. Prior to all of that, and beyond all of that, there is there is a breakthrough of that ceiling of energy that is here to reveal to us, like, how do we know she's not sitting on the water? And maybe she is, or maybe there's a sand barge underneath her, maybe she's sitting on a rock but the water's covering the rock. The illusions, the eyes create many lies, and it doesn't always tell all the truth. And the ability to know that beyond this is the magic. So how do we know a horse is not a unicorn or a Pegasus? How do we know? How do we know? So as we're moving into February, and as we're moving into the year of the snake, we're also moving into the year of the serpent energy. We're moving into the year of the phoenix rising. And this is where we shed the old and we rise. And we rise into a new possibility. Don't mean we're breaking through the ceiling of everything, but we're breaking through the ceilings of some of the illusions, or we are starting to awaken to recognize that this is so hypnotic, and it's time to be able to open up our hearts, or open up our third eye, and allow our spirit to guide us through its own vision, and through the vision of the spirit, through the eyes of the spirit, through the eyes of the divine that exists within us. It connects to the brain of the higher self, the higher expression of self, that questions almost everything, that doesn't just jump in with fear, but just says, I don't know. Maybe I should look at this a little more, but maybe I shouldn't get too close to that. Maybe I should step back. Maybe I shouldn't throw myself into that. Maybe I was already enough and I don't need something else to tell me that I need to how to get to being enough. And so there's more that is speaking to us right now. We have so much that's unfolding. We have so much that's happening. And the energy of the weather patterns and the unpredictability is, this is where a lot of the weather patterns, or a lot of the things that we see happening, we're not seeing it through spirit, and we're not picking up the energy, which makes me know that this is not coming from uh it's not coming from nature, it's not coming in naturally, but there is a lot of unnatural things that are happening within the weather patterns, and they are not coming from nature. They're not coming from the natural process. There is something, and I'll go back to playing God, there is something more that is interrupting the natural process and the flow of the natural rhythms of Earth and the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And it's as if we are being taken through a lot of experiences of unnatural parts of our existence in the human realm. And so there's a lot of unnecessary, unnatural events that can be that can be that could be provided, or could be not provided, that could be prevented. And so those things, we're not seeing those through here. Where am I seeing it? I'm seeing it through the energy of collective energy, and I'm seeing it through, like, the I'm like the Mad Hatter, the mad scientist kind of energy kind of coming in. So, there is a lot of influential energy that is just in this rush, or this desire for great achievements, that is that they're escaping, or they're missing, they're taking out the part of spirit, and not being guided by spirit, but being so guided by the ego. And so those motives and those motivations um, are kind of being, they're ignoring intuition. And we cannot ignore intuition. We cannot ignore intellect. We cannot ignore what is really truly a logical action or reaction. But there is some sort of misconstrued energy that is over here, that is saying that this is not being revealed through the energy of the movement of planets or the universe, or how things are happening, or how the earth is spinning, or its interception, or its connection to the planets. This is something over here that's coming in from the collective consciousness, and it's coming in from the collective consciousness. And so it appears to have a level of uh, gray shadows, and all I see is like shadow energy around it. And so we're going to, this is kind of where this fighting back of this divine. And so there is some sort of clash of that energy that is coming in. And I would say this is where the ancient angels come in. This is where the divine really shows its power, and it turns up its power, and it turns up its light, and it brings in divine will versus free will. And so it kind of overrides that free will. And so we're going to see some changes, or some real big truths come out around that as well, I think in 2025, but definitely 2026. But on the scale, it's like there's just like this kind of sense of ripples. So something is rippling. I'm feeling, sensing something that's rippling, and I keep seeing some big volcano also beginning. So, and this is more on the natural spectrum of things. This is not being created by anything. But the way I'm seeing this come in is I'm seeing like some sort of volcano, but it doesn't appear to be visible to me. So I don't know if this is underwater, if it's an underwater volcano, it's an eruption that's kind of, but I'm seeing some sort of explosion underwater. And I'm also seeing a not natural explosion underwater, which could be, you know, underwater war things that are also happening, that we see some underwater war things. And I'm the terroristy things that I had, I'm not there, those are still here. And I spoke about those in the last video. Those are still here. They have not subsided. That energy is still on the move. It's still on the go. And I just got all these shadows and the shadowy things that are happening. And I just keep hearing that there is some very, very dangerous, intentional, harmful thoughts that are being connected, and it's being communicated through different outlets, and it may appear in different areas, but it feels like it's all going to be, it's almost like they're setting something up, or it's going to be released in different ways and different, but it's there, it's still there, it is not gone. And they're just showing me these different avenues. So I don't know what it is, I don't know where it's coming from, but I just, it's like pops. I just see these pops, and I'm seeing these pops that are coming, but I'm seeing these threads and these strings, like a mapping together of something and tying things off. So it does feel like it's like something in the collective consciousness that is on the go, that is, I'm going to say it is like, it's like seeing a intrusion somehow, and this intrusion of energy, and it could be battle of egos, um, or, you know, or retaliation kind of energy. But that's what I'm seeing. And I don't know where, I don't know how it looks, don't know any of that, but it is still out there. And it's not for us to like walk around living in fear. It's for us to recognize that we always have resistance. We always have, we have all of this existing at all times. And behind the scenes, there's so much more happening that we don't see, and that people present to us exactly what they want us to see, and that we live in a world full of shadows and masks, and that we don't even realize, you don't even realize that you're living as shadow, and that the self we're living with is a created version of ourselves, until we recognize that, oh, this is not even me. I don't even know if I like this. I don't even really like this anymore. So I am pulling the Hierophant in reverse, and I just feel like there's, and the Four of Pentacles, and I do feel as if it's where, you know, spiritual guidance and spiritual knowing and being trusting and allowing spiritual interception kind of gets overlooked or ignored, and not paying attention to this. And the Four of Pentacles, she is bringing me in this sense of inner child, sense of healing, being away from home but not away from home, that sense of distraction, the sense of avoiding. But she is, you know, she's collecting and playing with her things, but she's also hiding from something. So there is a sense of something that is being hidden, something that is not being revealed, um, but also that she's probably burying her treasures, right? And so this also brings up, because it was in reverse, but bringing up the fact that maybe in the upward is that she is recognizing that she can't trust, that she feels like she can't trust being at home within herself, because she has been told for too long that she can't trust herself, that she has to trust everyone and everything but herself. And as we're moving through this energy, it's about being able to come back home to know that the one true truth and the one true trust really exists within us, and that there is something more in our treasure. We can trust ourselves to hold on to the greatest treasures and to be a part, because we are being trusted by Creator, by God, by Source, whatever it is for you, and to hold on to the treasures of the divine, to hold on to that little piece of gold. And we all have that little piece of that power, that little piece of love. We have that, but it appears little, but it's so big. And when we activate and live from our divine expression, you may be surprised how many things start to change within our own lives without us having to do and take on another big project of something that we have to do. Um, these are the messages that I have for you today. And I hope that these resonate with you, connect with you, and that when we see the macro of weather patterns or things that are possible in the world, is that we're always sending love and light so that things can be foiled, things can be broken down, but also that we recognize it's on a macro. So macro means the energy is floating around out there, and bringing it into micro is that we feel that within ourselves. And so if you're feeling that sense of deception, or that you are deceiving yourself, or you're feeling something within, is that sometimes it's not about taking it personal. It's to get outside of it so you're not taking it personal, and look in at the deeper truth and what's really happening, what's really going on, and what am I really feeling, and can really one thought, one vision that I see really absolutely take away every bit of happiness and joy that I have in my life? Can it really create that much fear? Or is this fear being created by so many others outside of me telling me that I have something to fear when I have not felt it yet myself, but I now feel it because I have been exposed to it. And so the exposure doesn't mean that we have to step further into the exposure, but to step further away from it, to look at it in a different way. We'll never solve a problem by staying in the problem. We solve problems by getting to the solution, which means rise up, rise above, and to get out and look up and look out and look down and look all around and recognize that there is so much more that is happening. I send you so much love. Thank you for being with me. And thank you for being here and for allowing space for the divine to speak from me, through me to you, and also for me to receive this myself, because I never heard this until right now. I never hear these until right now. And so I hear them. I hear them just minutes before you hear them, because I post them as soon as the video downloads, and you get to hear it then. So I send you much love, and thank you for all of your love and support. We have finally hit the 1K mark on YouTube. And so now I need that continued support. So bring in the people that you know would really really enjoy listening to these messages, or listening to my meditations, whatever it is that's in there. There's even some of my previous teachings, some of my classes. And yeah, you get the raw, real version that's in there as well. Um, and so yeah, there's so much that is there to be shared. Go check it out. Starting in February, I have my Mediumship 6-month mentorship program that is beginning on February the 16th. And if you're interested in that, go to our academy, go to mteacademy.ca, and you can also check out the other programs that myself and my partner Lisa Richard have in there. And Lisa owns Loving Energy Recharge, and we have come together to collaborate, and all of the 2025 forecasts for each and every zodiac sign, and we're releasing them as they've been developing. We're getting closer to the end, but the ones that are prepared and ready, they are available for purchase, that you can purchase them now. And it includes information about human design, gene keys, my channeling of the 2025 messages, plus all of my shared information regarding the archetypal energy, the angelic connection, which is our divine expression and connection, and our virtues and vices, all around our zodiac signs. And so they're all available, or they're not all, they're becoming all available, but some are available. And then also there's some free classes and courses and meditations also available in there. And if you subscribe, you'll get to know when we are releasing one of our own classes and courses that will be coming up throughout the year. So More Than Existing Academy is our baby. It is the place we love to teach and share and feel the sense of community and come together. So go check it out. Also go to CorrieThorne-Cameron.com if you'd like to purchase any of my oracle cards or my affirmation cards. Plus, you can also get all the links for purchasing my books. My books are all available on Amazon, but you can get the links for them on the website as well. And the website is so full of so much information. You can read all of my blogs and all of the upcoming classes and courses and things of where I'll be. This coming weekend, I am actually in Alex, Alberta on Sunday and on Saturday, so on the 26th, and then on Saturday, the 25th, I am out just past Bentley, Alberta, and I'm at Gypsy Road Healing. and I'm taking part in their Tea Talks, which is a weekend event that they have started where they inviting guests or they teach themselves. I was out and did tea leaf reading class a few weeks ago, and there's nothing better than coming together around a table for tea talk. And so I'm going to be doing connecting to your spirit guides. And if you'd like to join us in person and you're anywhere in the area, go to Gypsy Road Healing, and you can on Facebook, and you can sign up directly through the beautiful, lovely ladies of Carla and Sue that own and operate Gypsy Road Healing. So I'm there, and then I'm in person in Alex also this weekend. So there's a lot of weekend little things that are happening. I send you so much love. Thanks for being with me, and I will chat with you again soon. Bye bye.